And now,
breaking news.
Ahoy, the news.
News
From the Weird
Wire.
News from the Weird Wire this morning. Massachusetts neighborhood of Squam Hill has been under siege by a vandal that stands about 2 feet tall. As the New York Times reports, particularly feisty woodpecker has been terrorizing the town, pecking away at and destroying at least 20 side view car mirrors. 20. When it landed on the window, I thought it was my girlfriend tapping on the window, resident Mike Foster says of his encounter with the flying menace. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. Staring right me in the eyes for a good solid 30 seconds. That woodpecker is looking at 30 years to life right now, I think Foster adds of the bird's crime spree. Woodpecker's behavior could be explained by the ongoing mating season. They're also unsettled by seeing their own reflections, which is why they're targeting car mirrors. Ferocious bird, says a Brown University professor, says they're actually really strong. It's the biomechanical equivalent of a hammer. Residents who cannot hide their cars in garages have to protect their mirrors by wrapping them in plastic bags or cloth. The New York Times cheekily notes the woodpecker could not be reached for comment. Side mirrors, go figure. A goose did not duck out of the way when it found itself face-to-face with a tiger. Yes, you heard that correctly. According to the USA Today, the wild bird flew into the enclosure of an armor tiger at the Columbus Zoo in Ohio. The goose then decided to enter fight mode as it aggressively flapped its wings at the big cat, which successfully stymied it from chowing down on chicken bird dinner. Zoo spokesperson Jen Fields tells USA Today that the infrequent event that native wildlife enters enclosures says, quote, the animal care team uses trained emergency recall techniques to call the animals in our care into their indoor spaces. This behavior is taught through positive reinforcement and is practiced regularly to ensure that animals respond quickly and reliably, even in the presence of high-value motivators like food, enrichment items, or native wildlife visitors. Once the animals are safely indoors, the team can then assess the situation and, when appropriately, safely retrieve and release the native wildlife. One might say that this goose definitely had the eye of the tiger. Can you imagine you're a goose and you wind up in a tiger enclosure? We go from woodpeckers to a goose to a dachshund. For nearly 2 years, Valerie the dachshund has been gallivanting across the wilds of South Australia's Kangaroo Island while continuing to evade the efforts of the local wildlife rescue organization to bring her home. Finally, after 529 days, Valerie has been caught. After weeks of tireless efforts by wildlife rescue volunteers and partner organizations, Valerie has been safely rescued, is fit and well, the group writes in an Instagram post. It says, we're absolutely thrilled and deeply relieved that Valerie is finally safe and able to begin her transition back into her loving parents. The nearly 9-pound Valerie first went missing November of 2023. A previous report on Valerie's status by The Guardian. The wildlife group noted that Valerie, quote, runs at the first sign of humans or vehicles, and it has been impossible to catch. They don't say exactly how Valerie was ultimately secured. Maybe she came over after hearing Amy Winehouse's version of Valerie. 2 years. Little dachshund. Somehow evaded all of the snakes in Australia. Go figure. That's news of the Weird Wire.